Okay, perfect time, and we will go ahead and get started. See who pops in and out on this Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So hello everybody. My name is Courtney, a.k.a. One Jenny Fan, and in case you could not tell, the One Jenny Fan, my namesake, refers to Jenny from my life as a teenage robot. So
that Jenny.
Yes. So one of the reasons I made this panel was I love the show and I don't think anybody else has done a panel on it. It's highly underrated. And number two, Jenny is no longer a teenage robot. This month she turned 20. Which is weird to think about, yeah. Weird to think about. Thought SpongeBob was old. Nope, teenage robot. That's, that's the thing. Just to kind of get an idea on how I should go into this panel, because I have kind of two different parts of it. I'm assuming everybody here is like familiar with the series. Is there anyone brand new that's just like, what is this? Everybody's heard of it? Yeah. Are you guys all like, would consider yourself like decently familiar, like know the characters, was anybody here happen to be back in the fandom in 2003?
Yes, but not officially.
Okay, well you might know some of the stuff then. We'll see.
The internet until 2014.
Exactly, no, the internet existed, it was just very different. Alright, so a little bit about me before we start. Obviously, One Jenny Fan. Teenage Robot was actually my first real fandom. So I went and like looked up stuff online for other series like Powerpuff Girls, SpongeBob, Sailor Moon. But this was the first fandom where I was like in middle school, so nobody watched this. And I'm like, I need people to talk about this with. And so Nickelodeon at the time had forums. But of course, since it was Nickelodeon, it was a kid's website. It was very heavily moderated, like everything needed to be approved before it was posted, so things just took way too long. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go onto the outskirts of the internet. And that's how we really got into fandoms as we know today, is people doing that. So up on the top left, that was me at my, I wanna say 12th, maybe 13th, birthday party that I forced my parents to throw for me. So yeah, everything there is Teenage Robot themed. And then on the top right is one of my first like legit cosplays that I did, which was Jenny back in 2016. And I did her at Otakon. I'm like, I'm gonna do her on a Sunday morning, thinking, oh no, because nobody's gonna know who this character is. And I was cosplaying like Mabel and characters from Persona, and by far, I got stopped the most when I was Jenny. I was like, people actually know this. So yeah, a little bit about me, but enough about me. Let's talk about this show for a little bit. So the creation and activation of this show. So it started on August 1st, 2003. So like I said, we were in the month of August 2023 to date this. No longer a teenage robot, and it's complicated, because a couple of us were talking before the panel. It was like, yeah, this show was promoted a lot, and then it just kind of died out. So that's because they promote season 1, they kind of sort of promote season 2, and then they kind of just stopped showing, they stopped posting when new episodes were going to come out, and I'll talk about that a little later, but you basically had to find out on the internet, and the internet was very, not how it is today. So really the only people that knew when episodes were coming out were fans, like diehard fans, and then they're like, oh, well, people aren't watching. Well, yeah, that's why. You know what other show they did this to? Korra. And when it happened, I was like, I have seen this before. This happened with Teenage Robot. They also just happen to both have female leads. Not a good look, Nick. Not a good look. But yeah, so what ended up happening is pretty much the entire 3rd season ended up getting aired in other countries first. So if you were like a big fan, you had to go and basically torrent it. And The fan community like subtitled it and everything. And eventually we were able to tour in it in English. And then in like, I want to say 2007, by this point I had already watched the episodes, so I'm not too sure. They aired them on Nicktoons, not Nickelodeon, the sub-channel Nicktoons. So you're talking about having that basic cable package, you probably did not have access to season 3. So yeah, they took it for a little bit and then they did not care. So it was created by Rob Renzetti, who was very big, especially in the late 90s on Cartoon Network. He worked on shows like Powerpuff Girls. I think he did a major part in like the Origin of Mojo Jojo episode, if I remember it. He either directed it or wrote it, I think. And I believe he also did Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. And more recently, he worked on a little show on Disney called Gravity Falls. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah. So there were 3 seasons of this show. They almost reached 40 episodes. They almost did. They got to 39. And that's if you count like the 2 mini episodes as like 1 episode. This show actually started in the late 90s on this cartoon series called Oh Yeah Cartoons, made by Frederator. You would know that a show was by Frederator because they would have this logo at the end of the show with a person screaming, Frederator! So that's how you would know. But some of the biggest shows to come out of Oh Yeah Cartoons were Fairly Odd Parents is probably the biggest one. And then there was also Chalk Zone. And then this was the 3rd. So I want to show a little clip of what Teenage Robot used to be. This might look a little bit familiar because the first episode was basically a revamp of the pilot that was on Oh Yeah Cartoons. And it was originally called My Neighbor Was a Teenage Robot, so it was more like In the View or Brad and Tug rather than Jenny. But yeah, it was interesting like that, so.
It seems that some young robot has forgotten the rules of this household. You were designed to be the mobile response unit of the Worldwide Emergency Crisis Control Center. When the center detects trouble, you ought to respond quickly and quietly and return to your room. Your existence is to remain secret to everyone, especially teenagers. Do I make myself clear? Jenny. What?
Jenny! I changed my name to Jenny! Remember?
You hear like that automated voice, they ended up cutting that
You
obviously.
just don't understand. Saving the Earth is so boring. I want to have friends and hang out like normal teenagers do. Not that anyone would want to hang out with an ugly heap of metal like me.
Oh, honey, I understand how you feel. Your powers are still developing, and it's bound to be a confusing time. When you get a little older, you'll see things my way. Now, be a good robot and watch your monitors.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, my
My name's Jenny.
So there we go of that. So we're gonna do a little bit of an overview of the characters. Since everybody knows it, I'm gonna kind of zoom through this and go through really more of the clips to give you a bit of a blast from the past. So we, of course, have Jenny Wakeman. She is our titular teenage robot. Her other name that she is known as is XJ9. So the first model, or the 9th model in the XJ series, but she prefers to go by Jenny. This is actually her first line in the show is, I changed my name to Jenny. And interesting fact that has become kind of a new thing, really over just maybe the past couple of years. A lot of people in the community have started headcanoning her as having transitioned. So because of this, and then there's a line in a later episode that Wakeman has about, you'll never destroy my daughter. And she goes, oh, she called me her daughter. So it's interesting, and Rob has heard about this. And he definitely didn't create Jenny with that in mind, but he supports that headcanon, anybody that has that headcanon. So obviously she has plenty of superpowers. The intro says she has strength of 1,070 men, super speed, flight, weapons at the wazoo. The people that worked on the show obviously got to do a lot of creative things when it came to Jenny. So she is a hero with a strong moral sense, but at the same time, her big her big objective is she wants to be seen as a normal teenage girl. So those tend to conflict, but ultimately when it comes down to it, she is a character that will do what's right, even if it is not popular. So I have a couple of good episodes for each of these characters, and I'm just going to describe them each like in a sentence. So the first one, and if it isn't on this list, and it's a good episode for the character, I might talk about it later. We'll see how much time we have. But we have Party Machine, which is where Jenny throws a party at her house without her mom knowing, and things go about as you would expect. I was a preschool dropout. This one is kind of, people either love it or hate it. This one is polarizing, but I actually find it kind of hilarious because it lampshades the fact that Jenny is technically only 5 years old. So they put her in a classroom with kindergartners, and again, goes about as well as you'd expect. Hostel Makeover, this episode is iconic. This is the puberty episode. I'd like to think that Star vs. Muberty episode kind of got inspired by this. There is no proof of that, but I would like to think that. So Jenny goes through what everybody assumes is robot puberty, except for a couple of characters. Crash Pad Crash, which is another Jenny hosts a party episode, except she hosts it at a house outside of her house. And then Weapons of Mass Distraction is an episode where this guy really likes her and they want to date, but the problem is he is terrified of robots. So, yeah. I have this clip here. It is not the entirety of like the last clip. It's just from when Jenny enters Onward. But just to see another little flash from the past and to see the differences from My Neighbor is a Teenage Robot to what Teenage Robot ended up becoming.
Will I make myself clear? Extremely.
Jenny. Jenny! Call me Jenny! I changed my name to Jenny, remember?
Ugh.
What's the crisis anyway? So I left my room for 5 seconds. Do you hear any alarms going off? Everything's totally mellow.
Oh, really?
Gee, I wonder how that body
So this bit was added to the episode,
The
obviously.
meteor monitor detects a C-class particulate heading straight for the Earth.
Big deal. You know how often that thing goes on? I can set my internal clock by it. These meteor thingies always burn up in the atmosphere. I go all the way to outer space, and all I end up saving the world from is this. Never let me do anything but save the Earth. Would an afternoon off cause any harm? But no, it's always...
It's just science. Let me go. Battle those aliens. Must be back in your room before miles.
Meanwhile, no one even knows my name. I want to have friends and hang out like normal teenagers do. I don't want to hang out with a rusty hunk of metal like me.
Oh, honey, I understand how you feel. Your powers are still developing, and it's bound to be a confusing time. When you get a little older, you'll see things my way. Now be a good robot and go destroy that meteor.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right, extreme hell.
My name's Jenny.
And yes, I do have that monologue memorized, and I used it for a drama class in middle school because I loved it so much. Yeah, and also she does not live in a wooden attic anymore. The attic is at least a little more refurbished now, so that's good for her. Oops. Oh, I totally forgot about this little fact. She is voiced by Janice Clay, a.k.a. Janice Roman Roku. So Jenny, I think, is pretty much universally known as her most well-known role. She's also done Peko Peko Yama and Super Danganronpa 2. She is like Cynthia in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Thank you, Lasercats, for giving me that fact. And she was also in the original Captain Planet and the Planeteers. But I think pretty much, and she was Ami in Hi Hi Puppy Ami Yumi. But pretty much everybody knows her as Janice is Jenny. The two are like this. All right, so we have Brad. Brad is Jenny's next door neighbor, and they become best friends right away because of just their mutual admiration for one another. Obviously, Brad is a teenager that goes to high school. Jenny likes that, wants to be friends with that. Meanwhile, Jenny is a hero, and that's what Brad wants to be. And he does this with varying degrees of success. The clip that I have from him is from Last Action Hero, or it might be Zero. I think it's Last Action Zero. And it is a failure of an attempt. But he does have his good episodes, which we will talk about. So he is decent on the social ladder, but he also tries way too hard to be cool and suave and a ladies' man, especially as episodes and the series goes on. And he can be cocky and stubborn about either being a ladies' man or being a good hero. He's often the same one, so a bunch of crazy things happening around him, and he does not bat an eye, he just likes it. Good episodes for him include, and I want to give this disclaimer, most of the show is episodical. You can kind of watch it in any order. In general, I would say watch each season in order, and there are a couple of arcs that I hope to talk about or at least skim through. So we have Unlicensed Flying Object, where Brad is trying to get his driver's license, and in the midst of doing that, drives a UFO. We have Last Action Zero, which is Brad trying to be a hero. Jenny is not too appreciative, so he joins Skyway Patrol, which is a varying degrees of success group. Brad Venture, this is an episode where Brad actually is able to save Jenny. They kind of take the distressed dude and flip it to the damsel in distress, so he has to save her for once. Let's see, we have Ball and Chain. I don't want to give too much away, but the major plot point is he gets married to a space biker. I won't say who, but that's something that happens. And then there is No Harmony with Melody, which is another episode with Melody. Brad Venture is Melody's first step, so she has two. Either one of those are also good Brad ups. And he is voiced by Chad Dorick, who, fun fact, A, I am Facebook friends with, and B, he was on this show called Grease, You're the One That I Want, where a bunch of people were competing to be Sandy and Danny Zuko on Broadway. So he was going for Danny Zuko. So imagine Brad Carbuncle singing You're the One That I Want, or Grease Lightning. It's pretty good. All right, here's some Brad for you.
All right, everybody out of the pool. It's time to clean up the scum.
Everybody out of the pool, Brad?
I was just trying to help.
Here, you take the Netomatic and vacuum crater here on my sink.
Net duty again? How lame. Jenny, what are you doing? You can't beat him with brute strength. Now, with me out there, I know it's not blood. If it were...
Brad, I know what I'm doing.
Jenny!
What?
Watch out!
Good thing I always carry a full-size spare.
You little party.
Oh my gosh, Jenny's done for unless I do something. I'll save you, Jenny!
Brad, I thought I told you to stay put. You just had to get rid of it, didn't you, Brad?
Look, Jenny, I've been by your side in like a million battles by now. I want to do more than sit on the sidelines with some lame net.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there. So that's the basic plot that you need to know. So then we have Tuck Carbuncle. So that is Brad's little brother, and he hangs with Brad and Jenny quite a bit. To a nice little surprise. I feel like that's something you tend to not get. He tags along and it tends to not be too much of an issue. He is a scaredy cat and a crybaby most of the time. There are moments where he is just a kid. He can be very like energetic and loving, but he can also be quite annoying and bratty depending on the episode. He's a kid. So he's also a trickster. He uses Jenny in a lot of his antics. So if it's a tough episode, he's probably having Jenny do something for him in some way. So his good episodes include The Boy Who Cried Robot, which is obviously a spoof on The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where he keeps calling out Jenny to do a bunch of crazy antics. We have Robot Riot, where he enters Jenny into a robot fighting competition. We have Tuckered Out, which is where he needs to make a presentation about his hero for school, otherwise he fails second grade. So he directs a movie about Jenny. Voyage to the Planet of the Bikers, where Jenny gets stuck in a bike mode, so they need to go to the Planet of the Bikers to figure that out. And then Indestructible, which is one of those ones where he definitely goes between Scaredy Cat and Crybaby and thinking he is absolutely indestructible. So yes. And then he is voiced by Audrey. I should know how to pronounce her last name by now, and I don't, and I apologize. Wyzalewski? Wyzalewski? Thank you. Oh my goodness, thank you. You can tell I haven't actually heard any like vocal stuff. Everything I've seen has been on the internet. But here's a little clip from Boy Who Cried Robot. This one is a classic.
You are not to call me again unless you actually need my help. Understand? Yeah. Good. Let's see. Everything seems calm and peaceful. You appear to be fine. No broken bones. You're not leaking any bodily fluids. At least not yet. You do know what the word help means, don't you? But I do need your help. Really? How's that? I have a splinter. Tuck, that's not what I meant by... Oh, so my stupid little pain isn't important enough for you. Is that it? No, that's not what I said. So I'm never gonna see you unless I'm about to be run over by a train? No, of course. Or crushed by a gorilla or swallowed by the Loch Ness Monster? That's ridiculous. I thought you wanted to have friends like a normal kid. I do. I thought we were friends. We are.
So it can be pretty manipulative.
As a friend, let me give you a little advice about friendship. Friends help friends out. Not just with the gorilla-sized problems, but with the splinter-sized problems too. Oh, all right. But I can only come over if you need my help with something. Oh, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Suddenly every kid has a splinter. All right, we've got Dr. / Mrs. Nora Wakeman. So she is the creator of the XJ Robot series, and yes, I mean series. She is obviously a scientist, and she becomes quite excited about her inventions. Honestly, Jenny's just excitement in general stems a little bit from Nora. So she's a single mother with, considering having never mothered before, has a decent parenting instinct. She can get Mama Bear when she needs to. So she has some prior inventions, including both Armageddroid and Little Acorn. So Little Acorn was an invention she made when she was basically a kid, and Armageddroid was an invention that she made when she worked with Skyway Patrol. And it was a robot designed to destroy all of the opposing forces' weapons. He ended up destroying everybody's weapons, so they threw him into the center of the earth, and we will hopefully talk about this in a little bit. And she's cooler and stronger and less sheltered than you think, particular episode that I want to point out, Escape from Cluster Prime. She has a really nice bit in that up where you're just like, go Wakeman, go. So some other good episodes for her include Call Hating, where is an episode where she makes it so Jenny basically can't hang up on her when she is calling her to tell her about things. Humiliation 101, which is where Wakeman is going to give a presentation about Jenny to her school. Yeah, Humiliation 101, indeed. Mama drama, remember, she is a single mom, so she goes on dates. This is an episode where she goes on dates with this one guy who Jenny thinks is evil. This is not the only time that somebody she cares about goes out with someone and she thinks that that person is evil. Let's see, and then Puppet Bride, which is the episode with Little Acorn, and There's No Place Like Homeschool, where Jenny gets homeschooled. You know what? Wakeman's clip is pretty short, so I'm gonna go ahead and show it. This is from Call Hating.
A whole afternoon to myself. Maybe I can find something to impress the new boy at school.
It's Jane Lion. Hurry up and get downtown. There's a giant mud monster on the loose.
Don't worry, Mom. That mud monster is toast.
You took care of it already?
Yes, Mother.
But how did you just
Oh, please. You're embarrassing me. Can we have a cross-examination after I go shopping? Thank you.
I'll go ahead and end it there. The rest of the scene is like she just keeps coming after her. All right, we have Sheldon Lee. So Jenny's classmate and admirer. Huge geek, dork, and nerd. He's an inventor in his free time, and he also goes to a bit of conventions. He is on Jenny's side literally 100% of the time. There is an episode where everybody turns against her, with the exception of Sheldon. So he has, unfortunately, because of the kind of character that he is, dipped into a bit of the stalker trope. Like the nice guy, but he does genuinely care. He has a superhero alias, and he has an entire arc regarding this superhero alias called the Silver Shell, who he basically makes to want Jenny to go out with him in his Silver Shell persona, and 2, become an absolute bud to Jenny as the Silver Shell, making her think, oh, maybe guys like Sheldon are better. Oh, Sheldon. So his good episodes are Attack of the 5.5 Foot Geek, which is his first episode. I think that's pretty obvious. There's Designing Women, which is one of the stalkery episodes where he gets hold of Jenny's blueprints. Agent 00 Sheldon, exactly what it says on the tin. He becomes a secret agent. The Price of Love, which is an episode where he gets Paterisa, if anybody remembers Paterisa, one of the more popular girls, to go out with her by paying her. That's actually a cute episode. It's a surprisingly good one. And then, obviously, the entire Silver Shell arc. So, let's get a little bit of Sheldon here. I think I might skip a bit. If I can. Maybe I can't. That's fine. Sheldon's great.
All right, settle down. Get your midterm projects out and ready for grading.
Sheldon Lee, you've outdone yourself once again. Your quarter-scale die-cast alloy figure of fandom's favorite superhero, Captain Crush. You're sure to crush the competition. Oh, Captain, if only you could fly.
We can make it fly.
My Captain!
Sheldon, we gonna talk shop. Shop homework, that is.
No problem. I've got it right here. See, your pop can lamps are all done. I even put heavy-duty batteries on them in the event that you want to swing them around in a reckless fashion.
Heavy duty, eh? I like the way you think.
Really?
Ow! The craftsmanship on this weld is impeccable, but whose project is this?
Project? That's my knee.
Sorry, miss. What can I do for you?
I have a minor injury, and I went to the school nurse, but she said
Is that a regular or a Phillips?
It's Jenny, like the rest of me. Can you help?
Sheldon should be able to. As soon as Sheldon's through with his buddies, he can fix you up.
Here, over here, toss one to me.
Excuse me, I need to speak with the young man you're terrorizing.
Me, toss one to me.
As I was saying, I have a screw loose.
No kidding. Now do yourself a favor and get out of here. You say something. Huh? What the?
You alright? Excuse me, Sheldon. I have to go unplug somebody's socket. So, Sheldon, can you give me a hand?
Too good.
Sheldon, a little help? Wow, that was easy.
You're just like Captain Crush, only better. You're a girl.
Well, there's the bell.
I'll go ahead and end it there. Also,
If I could just
I'm not able to.
Well, thanks so much for your help. Hope to see you around sometime. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, and then he's also voiced by Quentin Flynn, who has done quite a few things, including he was Axel in Kingdom Hearts. What is it? Got it memorized? I think is his big thing. So he's probably the most, one of the most, I should say, prolific voice actors that plays like a major character on this show. And then we have Britt and Tiff Crust, a.k.a. the Crust Cousins. So they are the popular girls, they're the bullies of the show, mostly to Jenny. Sometimes they get along with her, but it always seems to backfire. They are obsessed with fashion, popularity, attention. Anybody that gets in their way with that, cough Jenny, they have an issue with.